It's Wednesday. Must be Energy Wednesday.
Energy Wednesday.
Energy, Hawaii, the state of clean energy, with Sharon Moriwaki and me as co-hosts. And today, Jeff Ono, who will always have a place at our table, and we have offered him the opportunity to, carve his initials right there.
And I will.
He's a consumer advocate, if you didn't know that, and he has a tremendous role in the development of clean energy in the state of Hawaii. And we're going to talk today about the PUC and the dockets there, because Jeff is there all the time, spends a lot of time there, files a lot of things there, and we're calling this another update in the PUC docket. Yeah. And I actually would like to say that's yet another update, because we're going to keep on doing this, right?
Right.
It certainly will.
And you have to say, the Public Utilities Commission is the place where they analyze everything to do with the complexities of energy for our clean energy future.
Well, that brings me to the organizers of this show, where they also analyze
Right.
carefully, just as carefully as anyone else, the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, of which Sharon is the co-chair, HECO, Hawaii Electric Company, DBED, and Hawaii Energy. And speaking of Hawaii Energy, we have a special representative from Hawaii Energy, as we often do, with yet another negawatt moment.
Yes.
And she is Carolyn Carl. She's the Hawaii Energy Residential Program Manager. She's right here at our microphone. So tell us what you got in the negawatt moment, yet another negawatt moment this week, Carolyn.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jay. So Hawaii Energy is the ratepayer-funded energy conservation and efficiency program for Hawaii, Honolulu, and Maui counties. And we're here to help residents save electricity. We have a variety of rebates and incentives for both businesses and residents. And we also provide education and training to encourage behavioral changes. So today we're going to talk about our ceiling fan rebates. We all know it's been quite hot and muggy lately, and we want people to consider using a ceiling fan. They create a gentle breeze that help with cooling, and they actually use 90% less energy than a standard window air conditioner unit.
This is really important. Do you have any feeling about whether this hot weather we've had now for about 3 weeks or more is a part of climate change? I have a feeling about that. What is your feeling about that?
I think that anytime we experience, hot, sticky conditions for an extended period of time, it gets you start thinking about that something else is going on. So I agree with you on that for sure.
And the thing about it is that here we are in the crosshairs of trying to do renewable energy and keep energy costs down. We'll talk some more with Jeff Ono about that. But one really important thing is that if it's really hot, it's likely to get hotter too. It will get hotter. That's my impression. Air conditioning is going to be a big burden on the system because it draws so much energy. That's why your ceiling fan program is more important today than it was a month ago. See what happens.
Absolutely. There are quite a number of qualified Energy Star ceiling fans that do a great job of cooling rooms, and by using them, you're adding to, you're contributing to your energy saving within your home and reducing your electric bill. And the best part about it is that we have a $35 rebate for purchasing an Energy Star qualified ceiling fan, so you can take advantage of that as well.
Well, that's, with $35, that'll buy me a shrimp cocktail in my favorite restaurant.
Well, you should go out and get a ceiling fan and a rebate.
But let me stop that, Sharon. I just want to know how I get my $35.
Oh, absolutely. So you choose a Energy Star qualified ceiling fan. You can visit energystar.gov to find a list of products. Upon purchasing, then you submit your application to Hawaii Energy. You can find out all about the program at hawaiienergy.com, or you could give us a call at 537-5577.
Would you answer the phone, Carolyn? After all, you are the manager of Hawaii Energy residential program.
Especially if they say it's you, I'll pick up right away.
Okay, you're on the record there.
All right.
By the way, there's a person I can't see because the studio is dark where you're sitting. It seems like it's Miley Alsop. Is it Miley? Say hello to the people.
Hi everyone.
Okay.
Happy Wednesday.
Energy Wednesday.
Energy Wednesday.
Okay, Carolyn Carl and Miley Alsop, thank you for coming down, you guys.
Thank you
with
so
your
much.
megawatt
We'll see you
moment.
soon.
Okay.
Aloha.
Aloha. All right, we got a few minutes before the first break, Jeff, to talk about the PUC. So tell us how it works. I mean, in terms of the dockets. a docket is a case, and you're going to speak about cases that are pending. Are there a lot of cases? Are they, like in the courts, there could be thousands of cases. Are there thousands of cases in the PUC?
Well, there aren't currently thousands, but there are a number, and both the PUC and the Consumer Advocate's Office, we both are small staff, and there's there are a number of issues. They're complex. They involve economic policy issues. They involve complicated electrical engineering issues, electricity reliability issues. And it's a difficult task for both the consumer advocate as well as the PUC.
Isn't it thrilling?
It's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago this was unthinkable, and now we got all these policy choices and technical choices and scientific issues pending. I mean, what an incredible experience for you. You must wake up every morning, completely invigorated by what you're going to do that day.
Actually, that's true.
Jeff, it's true.
I do look forward to coming to work.
Right.
That wasn't always true when I was practicing law.
I understand. It's the same thing for me.
Well, we got 3 lawyers here.
Okay. All right. So now we wanted you to talk about what's hot. That's probably not a good descriptor for it. But what's going on in the latest filings and the latest, active dockets at the PUC?
Well, the big issue right now, I think, is certainly the integrated resource planning docket that HECO filed. They filed their final report end of June. We started talking about it the last time I was on the air. Carl Friedman, the independent entity, filed his final report where he denied the final certification to the HECO companies on the final report. And the PUC just recently issued an order asking advisory group members to submit comments by, I think the date is September 30th. So by September 30th, certainly we will be offering some comments on, what are the next steps? How should we proceed from there?
Can I ask you a little about that? So the IRP, it sounds like a plan. It's integrated resource plan. So is it a plan? I mean, because a lot of people out there, including the people, on the other end of this camera, they want to know what the plan is, and they wonder, they get ad hoc, fragmented information from the newspaper. They never know where the trajectory is really going. Is the IRP the answer to all their questions? Is it the magic plan?
Well, I don't know about the magic plan, but it was certainly going to be HECO's plan. The idea was for HECO to come up with an action plan for the next 5 years. What is HECO going to do in terms of the various resources and meeting the RPS goals, the Renewable Portfolio Standard goals, the energy efficiency, EEPS, Energy Efficiency Portfolio Standard goals, meeting all the federal and state air quality regulations that are going into effect very soon. So it would draw on the various resources that we have, whether it's wind, solar, fossil fuel generation, for all of the islands except KIUC. Kauai is not part of this.
I'm not trying to be difficult about this, Jeff, but is HECO really the one doing the plan? I mean, doesn't the government have a plan? Doesn't the government have a planning office? Doesn't the government, make an outline and tell us where we're going to go? Does the utility the one that we look to for the plan? And even if we did, there's 70 people in the advisory group, which HECO has to listen to as they go on and on and on for months of conversation. Is it really HECO's plan, or is it the plan of this combined group of people, including HECO and everybody who speaks to HECO?
It ought to be everyone's plan. It should be the advisory group providing meaningful input to Hawaiian Electric Company to come up with this action plan. But in the end, it's Hawaiian Electric. They're responsible for the electricity reliability. So it's their plan. they have to be the one to implement and adopt it.
Suppose the Public Utilities Commission says, well, nice job, Hiko. You looked at everything, you listened to everybody, including actually a bunch of people who oppose everything that Hiko does as a regular matter. You listened to everybody, you were very nice, you were very polite and everything, and you wrote all that stuff up in your IRP plan, but we don't think it's the right plan. We are the PUC. We're in charge of this operation. What happens then?
Well, that's a good question. And that's one that a number of us are asking, because if the PUC rejects this action plan, as Carl Friedman suggested it ought to do, then it becomes very difficult when HECO comes in for an application, for example, for a power purchase agreement for a large utility-size solar farm or a wind project. How does that fit into context, into the context of the entire plan? If there is no plan and we're taking everything on an ad hoc, a one-off basis, it becomes much more difficult to determine should we as regulators say yes to this particular project.
I remember something in the statute, I think, about running the statute that governs the PUC that says that they can actually get down there and negotiate and mediate and get into the details of it. And it's not simply a question of saying A or nay. We like your plan, we'll do your plan, you have the seal of approval, or B, we don't like your plan, take it away, come back again some other day. And in the meantime, I'll have a vacuum. There's a middle ground, isn't there? Don't answer that question yet, because I hear the music in my ear, and it's telling me we're going to have a short break. That's Jeff Ono. He's a consumer advocate. He has a lot to do with the plan. and that's Sharon Moriwaki. She's the co-chair of Hawaii Energy Policy Forum and the co-host of this show. I'm Jay Fidell. We're talking about energy here, of course, on Wednesday. What else will we talk about? We'll be right back. Aloha, this is Jay Fidell. ThinkTech and the Hawaii Venture Capital Association put on monthly luncheon panel programs at the Plaza Club here in Pioneer Plaza. Our program this time is on September 26th. It's called Solar in Hawaii. We're going to examine the solar industry and see what's in it for the long haul. We have a great panel, great moderator. We'll be sending out email on this. If you want to be in our email list to receive the details, check out thinktechhawaii.com. In any event, you can sign up for the program at hvca.org. Thanks. See you there. This is Jay Fidell. Mahalo.
Aloha. My name is Mike DeWert. I'm the Chief Scientist for ThinkTech Hawaii. I'm also on the board of the Hawaii Academy of Science, and I'm the Energy Chair for the Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party of Hawaii, amongst other things. Next week, on the 19th of September, I'm going to be doing a show with Jay. The topic will be how the 18th century had technology too. We'll talk about some of the technologies our ancestors had that we have forgotten and that we're going to need if civilization ever collapses. So, hope to see you then, and mahalo nui.
I'm David Day, the host of Asia in Review. This is a ThinkTech program in which we take the issues of the Asia-Pacific region, whether they be in business, in foreign policy, in national security, or geopolitics. And we take those issues and we try to probe down in some real depth. Maybe it's not always politically correct, but we get to the truth. We do things that the regular media can't do. And the reason that we can do those things is because we here at ThinkTech have the contacts, we have the network, and we can take the time and explore the issues in depth. Tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. here at ThinkTech Hawaii. I'm David Day.
I'm Donna Blanchard of Kumukuhua Theater, and when I was young I used to love watching Charlie Chan movies on Family Classic TV on Sunday afternoons. Our show at Kumukuhua that runs from August 22nd through September 22nd is called Will the Real Charlie Chan Please Stand Up? It's written by Nancy P. Moss and takes place right here in Chinatown. I really hope you'll come in and watch it. You will love it. It's everything about the movies that you loved and more. Go to kumukuhua.org to get more information and your tickets. We'll see you there.
Hi, this is Jay Fidell of ThinkTech. We have some great shows during the business week. We broadcast 2 or 3 times every afternoon between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock. I just want to mention also that we have a new show. This is The Arts of Life with Willow Chang. Check it out at 2 to 3 p.m. every Friday. Aloha. This is Jay Fidell. Hi, it's Jay Fidell. We're back. We're live. This is Hawaii, the state of clean energy, our Wednesday energy show here on ThinkTech. And we have our special guest, Jeff Ono, consumer advocate, who is talking about yet another update on the PUC dockets. And as we left it, the cliffhanger was, can there be some middle ground between accepting or rejecting the IRP plan that has been submitted by HECO with the advice of its advisory council? And I want to offer Sharon the opportunity to rephrase my question.
I just want to hear from Jeff. What is this plan? Is it set in concrete or is it dynamic over the 5-year period? And tell us about what the plan looks like.
If you feel that's multiple and compound, then just say so.
Well, let me do what any good lawyer would do, and let me just ignore your question, and I'll just respond to what I want to respond to. And so, let me start by saying that the framework for the IRP, the framework for the Integrated Resource Planning Docket, called for what's called scenario planning. It was a recognition that we have so many uncertainties in the future. In the past, the way the IRP would work is the electric utility would come up with a reference case or a base case, and they would base their plan on this reference case. And the reference case was based upon reasonable forecasts for the future. But what they were finding was that things that they thought would happen didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And it immediately made the action plan void. So the idea was, let's come up with these various scenarios to try to account for the uncertain future, so that the action plan, as you say, can be more dynamic, that we can shift when things happen one way as opposed to another. So that was part of this planning process that the HECO companies and the advisory group went through, is selecting the scenarios. The problem became that the scenarios were, it was an X and Y axis. So on the X axis, it was the price of oil. So as the price of oil increases, what happens? And on the other axis was what was called, I think it was called political will, kind of the will of the entire state toward renewable energy. So we come up with these 4 different quadrants, 4 different scenarios. And it would seem it seemed like a good thing at the time. But I think it's something we're going to really need to rethink if we go through this process again, or if HECO is asked to redo the entire thing. Yeah. But certainly, this is on a cycle, so we have an opportunity for the next cycle to rethink scenario planning.
It's a 5-year cycle.
Right. Well, it's a 3-year cycle on the IRP. The resource plan is every 5 years. It covers 5 years.
Okay.
But what happened with the scenario planning is when HECO did their computer runs to input all of their various resources, the 4 different scenarios caused just innumerable amounts of computer runs, and it bogged down the system. It bogged down HECO, and I'm not sure we got very much out of it.
Was the PUC asking them to address all those scenarios, or was that on their own motion?
Well, the scenario planning, as I understand, was, this was before I became the consumer advocate. The framework was established a few years ago. It was a concept that came up from what I understand the Department of Energy.
In Washington.
Right. So the Department of Energy, they like this idea of scenario planning. The parties to that docket, I think some of them reluctantly agreed to it. HECO bought into it. And again, in concept, it's a great idea. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. Things happen so quickly nowadays. Technology changes.
Yeah, well, and inherent in your comments is the notion that maybe the idea of doing scenarios to cover a 5-year plan, it's not nimble enough anymore, and we have to be nimble and deal with changing circumstances more often than that. And you can't really figure out all the changes that are going to happen, or you're going spinning in your head for 5 years trying to figure out all the scenarios that could happen. So it just strikes me that maybe we should do that. Maybe We should be more nimble about it. We should be able to go in again, right, for an amendment of the plan, a quickie, and do that on a regular basis. No surprise to anybody, but circumstances have changed. We need to change the plan. Why don't we do that?
Well, and here's what my thinking is on the IRP at least right now. We have Carl Friedman's critique of the plan, and he says it didn't meet the framework. It didn't meet the framework or the principal issues and questions.
Can you explain what that is? What happened? What did he say?
Well, for example, he said they didn't, HECO companies didn't consider several resources that the advisory group had brought out. They didn't adequately look at a number of issues. And for consumers, Carl was very critical of the HECO companies about the way they looked at the rate and bill impact section. He felt that they didn't put enough emphasis on the issue of affordability, rate affordability. And certainly that's an important part for the consumer advocate. But I don't think it helps us if we don't have an action plan of some sort. It makes, as I was saying, makes looking at projects much more difficult. We need to put it in context of the entire resource options that are available to us. And if we don't know what's going to be the action plan, we're going to have a difficult time doing that.
Yeah.
So my feeling right now is the HECO companies ought to be able to go back, and not be given very much time, 30 days, for example, and they should fix what they can fix. They can go back and look at Carl Friedman's his final report and go through it paragraph by paragraph and address each of the issues that he raises. Where they can do additional model runs, where they can use something other than the strategist model that was used. They ought to use a different computer system to analyze some of these things. They ought to address the consumer advocates' criticisms.
You also submitted a filing on this.
Yes, after the final report, we had certain criticisms of the action plan. For example, we felt there needed to be a base case. There needed to be some reference case that HECO was going to base their action plan off of. And then we can look at some of the uncertainty. And then we can really look at, well, what is it costing us to meet the RPS goals? If we go to 50% RPS by 2030, how does that change the cost of the action plan, right? But without that reference case, without that base case, it became very difficult to make those kind of comparisons. And that was our principal criticism. There was no real reference case.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt that, after we filed our report, after the HECO final report, none of the advisory groups, their statements were ever addressed by HECO. Then we had Carl Friedman's final report where he denied certification. HECO hasn't addressed that. So HECO needs to go back and do what they can to try to address the advisory group, comments, the consumer advocates' comments, and then Carl Friedman's. And where they cannot, they ought to tell us, this is why we cannot respond to this and why. They ought to give us detailed answers.
Yeah, but really this is so interesting in terms of administrative law. And probably this is the most important administrative agency in the state. No question about it. And yet, it seems like this is all hung up here on critical issues. So here's Carl is a contractor for them. He's not a judicial person. He's not appointed by the governor. I don't think he's even a state employee. He's a contractor.
Yes.
And yet he certifies or doesn't certify. And if he doesn't certify, it doesn't get to the PUC, or at least the PUC is not going to consider it until he certifies it first. This can go on forever. If you worry about 2 years in the making on this kind of thing, this is going to take a lot of time. and it's not going to get us any closer. And it just seems to me, if for example, you, Jeff, you file whatever you file, then the other party, I guess HECO, should have the opportunity to respond to that, and on and within the ambit of this process, instead of having the process stop, which is apparently
isn't there a process of review and comment, and then they come back within a certain period of time, or is there no time limit?
Right now, the time limit is by the end of this year, the commission is supposed to issue a decision and order on the IRP.
But it's not before the commission yet because it hasn't been certified, right?
It hasn't been certified, but it is before the commission. So the commission, so the first thing the commission has done now is to give it back to the parties and tell the parties, we want to see your comments. We want to see how what you have to say about Carl Friedman's report.
That doesn't happen yet.
It's due on September 30th.
That's when the commission is supposed to act.
No, that's when the parties to the IRP are supposed to submit their comments.
Okay, then only after that,
Then we'll see what
the commission will
does.
take action in requiring or not requiring further submittals from HECO.
Right.
Oh, okay, got it, Sharon.
Yeah.
All right, this is good.
But this is good because then the advisory council, the community does have, their comments are considered in the consumer advocate. So this is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of the timing, and it really should be done in a more curtailed manner than go on and on and on. I mean, it is a 5-year plan. You don't want it to come with a plan in 5 years,
Okay, the music. There's no comment on what you said. That's Sharon Moriwaki. She's co-host today in Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, and our special guest is Jeff Ono, Consumer Advocate. We'll be right back after this break.
Thanks, Ray.
I'm Bill Spencer, President of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. We do monthly luncheon programs with ThinkTech about things that matter to Hawaii entrepreneurs, investors, and business service providers. So join us on the fourth Thursday of every month at the Plaza Club. For information about upcoming events or to join our mailing list, visit hvca.org. See you there.
I'm Jay Fidell. This is ThinkTech Hawaii, broadcasting live from the Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu. We raise public awareness about tech, energy, and globalism in Hawaii. Technology is critical to our state. A vibrant tech sector will give us new prospects in the global marketplace and will offer great careers and make our economy more resilient. Streaming live on Ustream and Spreaker, ThinkTech allows its hosts and guests invaluable opportunities to report important events and discuss important questions, and to be heard here in Hawaii and around the world. You can find links to our live streams on thinktechhawaii.com or on our mobile website, m.thinktechhawaii.com. And you can see our archive on YouTube. It's all just a click away. We want to do whatever we can to keep Hawaii relevant, connected, and thriving in the complexity of the 21st century. We hope you will help us in those efforts. Tune in today. This is ThinkTech. I'm Jay Fidell. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Hong Jiang at ThinkTech. I'm a host for Asia in Review on Tuesday afternoon between 4 to 5 p.m. At our programs, we learn about what's happening in Asia and why it is important for you to know about it. So I'm Hong Jiang, and I'll see you there.
Okay, we're back. It's hard to get a roadmap when everybody has a specific agenda.
That's right.
And we're going to talk more about that right now with Jeff Ono, the consumer advocate. We're talking about the PUC dockets, and one of them is the IRP, the Integrated Resource Plan. And it's very interesting because this is really an important plan. It's an important process. And Jeff can tell us about it. One of the things we learned during the break is that the plan is comprehensive, so that all of the issues that you've heard about, all of the contentions you've heard about are all built in one way or another into the IRP that has been submitted. So people take hard lines. I mean, there are some people who oppose the undersea cable no matter what. Some people who oppose big wind on Lanai and Molokai no matter what. And those hard positions are in this process, and so it's hard to just, as I suggested, sit around and have a conversation about it.
It's very difficult to sit around and have a conversation, but you know, we were in this 1-year process, and the idea was to have a diverse group in the advisory group, and I think, you know, we certainly had that. We had members from each of the islands represented, we had environmental groups represented, we had consumer groups represented, the business groups were all represented. So, you know, if the IRP worked the way it should have, and the HECO companies had put out their action plan in a more timely manner, then the idea was that the advisory group would have had meaningful input into that action plan. What happened was, I can't really fault HECO. I mean, you know, they worked hard. I won't. You can't say that they didn't work hard. They worked very hard at it. But the scenario planning, I think, bogged them down. And then what happened was the action plan didn't come out when we expected it to come out. It came out at the very end of the process. So the advisory group really didn't have the meaningful input that it should have had into the ultimate plan. That was the problem.
So if you were to, not that this is going to happen, but if I made you king, how would you modify this, you know, procedure to get home on it? You know, to get to a plan, implement the plan, get on down the road with a comprehensive.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think HECO should be given an opportunity to fix what they can fix.
Right now.
Right now. You know, because they did put a lot of effort into it, and there are parts of the plan that are clearly usable. You know, we know they have to meet certain very stringent EPA requirements that are going to go into effect. The air quality standards are going to make it such that HECO cannot use low sulfur fuel oil. Very unlikely that they'll be able to continue to burn low sulfur fuel oil for electricity generation. So we're going to either have to go to a more expensive fuel, or we go to LNG, liquefied natural gas, and that's part of the HECO action plan.
That was in the plan too.
That was in the plan.
Another hard issue, yeah.
Very difficult issue, but again, it's one of those things where it's an uncertainty. What happens if if we cannot get to LNG? If for whatever reason the political will of the state of Hawaii says no to liquefied natural gas, we're not going to have it, another fossil fuel substituting for petroleum. What are the off-ramps? When are those off-ramps for LNG? That should have been part of this action plan, and it should take us down a road that still gives us affordable electricity rates.
So you say the plan doesn't have that now? It doesn't say, okay, if not, then what?
Then, you know, it might, but it's very difficult to follow the action plan, and it's in part because HECO has a preferred resource plan, a parallel resource plan, a contingency plan, and a secondary plan, and then the 5-year action plan. There are things that are that are not in the preferred plan, but are in the action plan. Now, why would that be? You know, if you use a dictionary definition of a preferred plan, then one would think if it's not in the preferred plan, then maybe it shouldn't be in the action plan. You know, we wanted to see greater explanation of these things, and we didn't see it there.
Yeah.
We didn't have definitions on preferred and parallel and contingent and secondary, and how, you know, we as regulators or the public are supposed to view these different resource options.
Oh, this is so interesting. You know, so, wow, is this what Carl Friedman was concerned about, this kind of thing?
A number of things.
Like this?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, by the way, is there a political will meter somewhere? Because if there is, I'd like to get to that.
If that axis, you know, that other axis.
It's a metric of political will. How do you find out? What do you do? Just do a survey? What do you do?
You know, sometimes it's more like crabs in a bucket. You know? we just drag each other down and we don't get anywhere.
Well, that's the thing, you know, there seems to be a lot of contention, and whatever the procedure is, no plan right now. And and you intimated that for the lack of a plan, you really can't go forward very well because you don't know if you're on firm ground or not.
Well, you know, if you've been together for a year, don't you think that over time you would sort of congeal a little bit, not just be so contentious a year down the road working together right next to each other?
Well,
you know?
I made very good friends on this advisory group, and I think I came to a much better understanding of what these various interest groups, what they're all about. Sally Kay and Robin Kay, Friends of Lanai, we don't always agree, but I've learned to respect their opinions, and I think we can be friends.
I wonder if the public is, I mean, you're the consumer advocate. You're advocating for the public. But I always ask where the Progress Alliance is. You know, the Progress Alliance is a grassroots organization of John Q. Everyman out there, and by the thousands, and the silent majority, if you will, not so silent. And then you go onto the advisory committee and you find every single activist organization represented there, but you don't find the Progress Alliance anywhere. Maybe you are the Progress Alliance.
He represents
you must
the
be the Progress Alliance.
Right.
We've been waiting.
Well, that would be then I get to be king.
But Jay made you king.
And I'll do it again too, anytime. Okay, let's move on. Can we move on to another subject? Actually, they're all related anyway. They're all touching each other. Can we talk about the investigative dockets that were established recently by the PUC? I guess one is on big wind and one is on the undersea cable. Oh, is there another one, geothermal?
No.
Okay.
Well, that's an RFP, 50 megawatt RFP.
Okay, okay. So let's talk about the undersea cable and big wind.
Okay, so let's cover Lanai Wind.
What is an investigative docket versus, say, the IRP or another docket?
Well, an investigative docket should be less contentious, and it's just to look into a specific issue, asking for comments from specific parties, and then the commission will then ultimately come up with a decision and order. So it is still a contested case. So we have this Lanai Wind docket, and the commission had asked Castle and Cook to, with the change in ownership of the island, what is the status of the 200 megawatt Lanai Wind project? So Castle and Cook did their filing, on time. Didn't answer some of the questions that I think that are still out there. How this is the Lanai Wind project is going to be implemented. It pretty much came out with what we expected it to say. They have the necessary contractors to do the work. They've hired Pattern Energy. Pattern Energy is going to be helping them. But that's out there, and they filed on time. What the next steps are going to be, I'm not sure. We have the Maui Oahu undersea cable investigative docket. The commission had given the party 60 days to provide comments. Comments were filed by DBED.
Those are the same comments that followed the governor's remarks a week ago or so about the undersea cable. He came out supporting the undersea cable, and I think it was a few days later that DBED came out with a report to the same effect.
Right, and Mark Glick, DBED's energy administrator, he had kind of given us a preview. He said it was, DBED was going to file a report saying it's cost effective. They did. They hired a consultant, Navigant, to assist them and with the analysis. NextEra filed a report, and the HECO companies filed theirs. HECO's report basically was saying this ought to go to a request for proposal. We should send out an RFP. We should get bids because we need to know what the numbers really look like to make a decision.
Sure, to see what it really costs.
Right. NextEra's analysis, I'll give you a real quick overview. NextEra's analysis was that it certainly is cost effective. They're one of the interested parties that will probably put in a bid to construct the undersea cable. But part of what NextEra, their analysis was based upon an assumption that there will be, by the year 2020, 10-cent wind and 13-cent solar. 13 cents per kilowatt hour for solar, 10 cents per kilowatt hour for wind. And right now we're not there. We don't have any projects anywhere close to those numbers. Now if you have a 200 megawatt wind farm on Maui with 10 cent wind, 10 cent per kilowatt hour wind, an undersea cable will make a lot of sense. Then you can bring cheap renewable energy from Maui to Oahu. Energy will clearly transfer across the cable, and it will make economic sense to do that. DBED's analysis done by Navigant, it made certain assumptions. We're breaking down those numbers right now. Each one used a different number than the HECO IRP assumption for an undersea cable. The IRP said that the cost of the cable would be $765 million. Navigant said, well, we think we can do it for $600 million. If they can put in a bid for $600 million, maybe they'll get the contract. Navigant used the number $700 million. But you start $100 million here and $100 million there, it starts to make a huge difference.
Well, I'm happy to hear it's less than $1 billion. But just wondering, back in the day, before the Clean Energy Initiative, just before, David Murdoch in Lanai wanted to do the cable himself. He wanted to write a check. He could, and he was going to put a cable from, just in the middle of my story. And he was going to write a check for the cable from Lanai to Oahu, and he was going to do it himself. And what happened is that some got subsumed in the Clean Energy Initiative, and all of a sudden it was written into that 124-page agreement there in 2008, and it was a government business instead of a private business. Isn't it possible, I'm going to leave you with this cliffhanger until we come back, isn't it possible for some, capitalist organization, some business organization to build the bloody cable already? Just build it? We've been waiting on this for, 6 years. How about just building it, and we'll let them worry about whether it makes a profit or not. Okay, on that note, we're going to take a short break. That's Jeff Ono. He's going to hang on my cliffhanger question. Sharon Moriwaki. We'll be right back.
I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of the Arts in Hawaii on the ThinkTech series. I'm also the managing director of Kumukuhua Theater in beautiful downtown Honolulu at 46 Merchant Street. Right now we have an incredible show running called Will the Real Charlie Chan Please Stand Up? The Charlie Chan was based on a real-life detective right here in Chinatown, and Nancy P. Moss has written a wonderful script that Reiko Ho has done an excellent job of directing. It's running at Kumukuhua until September 22nd. You can find more information at kumukuhua.org. I hope to see you there. Aloha.
Hi, this is Jay Fidell of ThinkTech. We have, 2 or 3 shows every afternoon during the business week that we stream live on Ustream, and we stream audio on Spreaker.com. Check it out. You can see the schedule on ThinkTechHawaii.com. One of the shows you should definitely see is Asia in Review. We do Asia in Review with David Day every Thursday afternoon between 4 and 5 p.m. Check it out on ThinkTechHawaii.com. Aloha. This is Jay Fidell. Hi, I'm Jay Fidell. Yes, this is ThinkTech, broadcasting on Ustream and Spreaker both day and night, doing its thing on OC16 and Olelo, and uploading videos all over YouTube. Check us out and see the links on ThinkTechHawaii.com. Mahalo. Now we're back, we're live, we're talking about energy, and it's not so simple because we have Jeff Michelina on the phone. Jeff, sorry, we didn't know you were there. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Jay. Thanks for having me on.
Sure, absolutely. We wanted to, get a report from you about the report card.
Yeah. Terrific report card.
This is the Blue Planet Foundation report card on what? Clean energy. Tell us about it. Tell us how we can find it. Tell us what it means.
Thanks. Well, first of all, you can find it online at HawaiiEnergyReportCard.com, HawaiiEnergyReportCard.com. And what we wanted to do is kind of take an annual snapshot of our progress in this transformation to clean energy, and not only look at how we're doing in the various sectors, renewable energy, efficiency, transportation and infrastructure, but also look at the drivers behind each of those sectors and how we can accelerate that change. And we were pretty strict in the grading. I mean, we wanted to take an honest assessment and really see how we're doing in this transformation.
Give us the scores.
Well, the overall score in looking at everything, and we joke that we graded on a curve, was a C-. And that C- is really brought down by two areas where we're not doing the best we can. And first is transportation. Most of our focus has been on energy efficiency and renewable energy for electricity. But unfortunately for transportation, we're still pretty much consuming the same amount of gasoline today as we were 5 years ago when the agreement was signed. So we have a lot of opportunity in the transportation space to make big gains. And some of that will come from electrification. Some of it will come from things like rail and reducing our vehicle miles traveled. And some will come from more efficient vehicles as they come to Hawaii. But some good news, and this is where I think we can pat ourselves on the back, is the progress in renewable energy in Hawaii has been phenomenal over the past few years. The number of projects that have gone in, particularly distributed solar, is a real bright spot in Hawaii. And then also for efficiency, which we gave the highest grade, a B, because we're pretty much on track to hit our efficiency targets as outlined in the HCEI agreement of essentially 30% reduction in business as usual energy use come 2030. So that's the good news. The takeaway, though, is we have a lot of work to do on transportation and on developing a modern grid to accommodate more renewables and deeper penetration in the future.
Okay, well, we set up some shows here at ThinkTech on Energy Wednesday about the grid and exactly what that means and what the technology is and how you get people to buy into it. So we're going to be covering that in some detail. And of course, as you know, Sharon has been fascinated with the transportation issue for the past 6 months, trying to attack it in every way possible. But these are difficult because they require, I want to say public will, but maybe that's political will. And Jeff Ono was telling us about the political will meter. Maybe you have a handle on that too, Jeff, the political will meter. How do you measure political will? How do you measure public acceptance?
That's funny. I think one of our commissioners, Commissioner Champley, I hope it's okay to share this, what he does is when he takes the cab to the airport, he talks to the cab driver. And that's his sort of barometer of how they're doing and how people are perceiving the issues.
Yeah, we always have the special cab driver waiting outside the PUC to take him to the airport. Okay, well, good work for you,
Yes,
Jeff. That's great. Good job. And we look forward to seeing it in a dynamic fashion. How often are you going to change it?
Well, we're shooting for an annual update, and this is our first out of the gate, so we really hope to get feedback from stakeholders and other folks. If you love it, say so. If you see room for improvement, we'd love to hear that as well.
Okay, make sure you send it around to everybody.
On the
Great,
website.
and if you'd like hard copies, you can contact us as well.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Great.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Jeff Michelino, Blue Planet Foundation with the Hawaii Energy Report. Great work. Okay, we're back now. So we only have a few minutes left, like 5 or 6, Jeff.
It's all yours, Jeff.
We're going to have a show one of these days with only Jeffs.
Yeah.
Your name has to be Jeff. So we have a few minutes left. I just wanted to get your handle on how these dockets, the investigative dockets, are, what's supposed to happen, who submits what happens at the PUC level when all the submissions are done. What does it look like going forward?
Well, for the Maui to Oahu undersea cable, I think after the comments are received, the comments have been received, then there's a period for reply comments. So that I think that deadline is October 9th or so, maybe earlier, I'm not sure. I don't have the exact date on the top of my head, but it's early October. My assumption is that the commission will then make a decision on whether an RFP would be issued for the Maui to Oahu undersea cable, and then we'll go from there. So you would have the 200 megawatt RFP for renewable energy for Oahu, whether it's on Oahu or off island. That would go forward. Then there would be an additional Maui to Oahu undersea cable RFP, a separate RFP would issue for the cable. That's my assumption. If it looks like it's not cost effective, then maybe we'd have to wait. But it looks right now that the analysis is coming back that it is cost effective, that the undersea cable has the potential to save ratepayers money. It certainly has the potential to reduce the use of fossil fuel, reduce petroleum usage, and in that respect, certainly will save millions of dollars to ratepayers.
It seems to be a central thread in all of this is cost. It seems to be a central thread in the IRP, and it's a central thread. It seems to be everywhere, but let me offer the thought that the greater good is not only a function of cost. I mean, we need to get independent, and building a new system, being involved in a transformation does cost money. Somebody has to pay for the new infrastructure, which is going to be expensive. And do people fully understand that, or it's just what's on my bill this month? And I wonder if the public really gets it about the need to spend money in order to save money against the rising price of oil later.
Yeah, Jay, I think they get it, but the difficulty that we have is that our rates are so high that another 5 cents a kilowatt hour, it kills people. We're not like the mainland where they're paying 9 and 10 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
We're at 35 cents on Oahu, getting close to 40 cents on some of the neighbor islands, and over 40 cents in Lanai Molokai. So it is a huge burden on consumers. So affordability, reducing costs, that is important. But we also have to look at the fact that some of these projects may cost ratepayers a little bit more at the outset of the project, but over a long period of time, they will start to save money. So we look at net present value. I think that's an important part of the analysis. We have to total up the annual savings and potential losses at the beginning of the project, and then determine, is this a cost-effective means to go forward?
What about timing? Just as a sort of observer, I think Sharon's in the same spot. It all seems going slow. And, meanwhile, we could be faced with spikes in oil prices or, shortage of supply anytime, which will be very painful to our principal economy and of course, to those same guys who don't want to pay the nickel more. What about that? I mean, can we change the sense of time by which this all moves forward? It just seems slow. Sorry.
Well, these are huge state policy decisions, and we don't want to act with haste and end up in another situation where where we are now, where we're wedded to petroleum, and so we have to move carefully. We're certainly doing our best to move as quickly as we can, and I know the PUC is doing the same. So we're believe me, Jay, we're all in it together. We understand the frustration that everyone feels, but this analysis requires careful thinking. And sometimes we need to slow down. We need to really take a hard look at things.
So, what position is the consumer advocate taking on these dockets? Do you have a position yet, or are you waiting on further information before you actually, advocate for A or nay on the undersea cable and the wind?
Well, on the undersea cable, we're still analyzing the filings that have been done by Nextera, DBED, HECO. We've got consultants who are running through the numbers, looking at and our own in-house staff. So we're in the process of looking at it. But as I said, right now it's looking cost effective.
Okay, that's a happy note.
That's good.
And on that happy note, we're gonna have to say bye.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you, Jeff Ono, consumer advocate. As always, it's great to have you here.
Thank you, Jay, for having me.
Always
Always
good
have
to
a
have
place at our
you.
table. Let the record reflect they're hugging. Okay. Aloha, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow on ThinkTech.